Late afternoon flattens the island to glare and shadow, the sea hammered dull as tin. A Spitfire skims the coast at mast height, prop a blurred coin, the canopy streaked with oil where a wing root was chewed. Inside, the panel quivers, and in that quiver one certainty burns steady: the red gear lamp. The hydraulic needle sinks with slow treachery toward zero. No drama, just a system ending. Ahead lies scrub and the pale strip at Ta Kali. Behind, miles of water the color that swallows men. The fuel light flickers. He has one try before fuel, or sea decides for him. Flight Sergeant Alan Kerr's left thumb settles on the gear lever like it's a hand to persuade. Down, up, down, listening for doors, for the thud that means legs. Only a tired tremor through the bones, the same lifeless twitch, the same red staring back. He knows the drill and what the cockpit should feel like. Unknowable is how many breaths before the Merlin coughs and quits, and the wind takes choice away. In the caravan by the strip, a chipped mug rattles as a voice breaks the static, clipped, calm, from a man whose map is runway and sky. Mayhew, squadron leader, controller by necessity as much as rank, catches the call sign and tone. Kerr, confirm. Hydraulics? The tower is a caravan window in dust haze, its angle wrong because the ground ripples, patched bomb craters drawing false horizons. Mayhew clears traffic on instinct because one cluttered moment on Malta can be the last one. Kerr tilts his head, helmet leather salt stiff. Hydraulics gone, red lamp, fuel light flickers. The warning is a metronome here, measuring minutes in breaths, not miles. He dips the nose to keep honest airspeed and swings his eyes to a strip that shrinks under heat. Low sun smears depth into a painting, and paintings don't catch you. He presses the lever again anyway, a loyalty to ritual, and feels the same dead answer. Russo leans over the RT, pencil behind his ear, clerk neatness in a world of fire. Leading aircraftman last week, liaison today, the cable between words and acts. Fuel low, hydraulics gone, Mayhew's pause, deciding which surface is life. Russo slaps the crash bell. Outside, men in stained overalls look up mid-sentence, and their bodies remember: roll drums, run hose, foam up. Foam is rationed like bread and fuel, a white tongue down the centerline because a path is all they can give. Mayhew weighs wind by dust and windsock, northwest, a stubborn 12 to 15 knots. He wants the long strip because length forgives, but crosswind turns kindness treacherous. Ta Kali is crushed limestone, patched where bombs bit. Its undulations fool wings into thinking hills are rising when it's only bumps. Negative main, he says, clean and final. Use the short. Wind's quartering right. Foam will be centerline. Length tempts, angle kills. Kerr feels that decision in his forearms before the words finish. Short means less thought, less room, less time to arrest drift before a radiator bites stone and spins him. He holds a shade of rudder into wind and a whisper of aileron, balancing blade on blade, and breathes through heat-dry throat. Short, copy. Foam center. Fuel, minimal. Minimal means a few more turns of prop. Each must count. Hydraulics are blood in this machine. A cannon nick tore open a line and bled pressure away into slipstream. The Merlin hums like it's holding back a cough. The cockpit tastes of hot oil and that sweet metallic tang that sits at the back of the mouth. Kerr's hand finds the manual pump by instinct and stops. Air in the lines is hope's imposter. With the system bled, the handle will only lift and drop on emptiness, and seconds wasted become altitude gone. On the field, the crash crew drag couplings like fate on a rope. Foam drums roll like reluctant kegs. The nozzle traces a white seam down rough limestone as narrow as trust allows, a mark the pilot can follow without turning the runway into a slick mirror. Russo knows the barrels by count, knows ships are hunted between here and there, knows everything is measured twice and cut once. He keeps his orders sharp. Mayhew watches the aircraft, a slender shape against heat, shimmer, counting the flash of sun on canopy, the shadow over scrub. He wishes for height and makes do with instinct, Malta's currency. Kerr, field is clear, crash 1 and 2 in place. You're number 1, your only slot. He doesn't say one try out loud. It's heavy enough in every mind. The siren, thin at first, threads the air from somewhere over Valletta. He hears it and boxes it out, because moving men now risks the one line he can still hold. The crosswind presses from the right, trying to slide the Spitfire off the invisible white. Kerr measures drift in nose aim and sideways whirled in glass. Crosswind is a patient thief, stealing alignment until touch makes the theft plain. Right wing wants to lift. The radiator under it hangs low, a silver blister ready to plow if it meets first. He holds the wing down by adjustment, not force, sweat crawling under his goggles as the sun dips another finger toward the sea. Ahead, the prop disc is nearly invisible in glare. Fine pitch will let it windmill when fuel is cut. Windmill drag steels flare you don't own, but it is also brake. He glances at the mixture and magnetos, 2 small toggles that decide between sparks and silence. Fuel off before metal touches stone, mags off at the kiss, timing like the last beats before anesthesia. The litany, canopy unlatched, harness bit tight, fuel off, pitch fine, flaps gone, no hydraulics, and speed just above stall. 85 indicated, no bounce, no heroics. Russo studies the foam line and does the math no manual wrote. Foam finite, wind not, surface uneven. Lay it too thick and Kerr slides like on glass. Too thin and sparks breed in the hollows. Feather it, he tells the pump, a painter's brushstroke. He pops flares to stake a line for a perspective trick. For a pilot arriving in haze with his world narrowed to one instrument, one path, one point. Tunnel vision creeps. Kerr feels the clamp around his eyes and fights it by naming what he sees. Windsock, foam, caravan, tender right, no traffic. He leans against the harness checking bite, nudges the canopy back on grit-stiff rails. Hot air knives in, ready to pull smoke away if it comes, ready to be an exit if the frame twists. With the canopy slid, he feels himself under the sun's eye. Exposure sharpens him. The red lamp is more than warning, it's a verdict. Lamps speak in colors. Green is certainty. Red is not a wish. Fluid is the only thing that holds legs down, and fluid is gone. With red on, legs up, they will stay. Kerr's hand comes off the lever that can't help and rests on throttle, anchoring to the one control with choices left. Mayhew can't afford poetry, but it walks in anyway. A man threading a needle while the cloth burns. He taps the headset, listening past static to the shape of Kerr's breathing. He considers the long strip and discards it again. Longer slide is a trap with this wind. Left-hand circuit to short. Keep it tight. Don't drag. Distance now evaporates fuel. Tight buys time. Sea breeze runs down the strip, lifting grit, turning ground into mirage. Heat lies about depth. Kerr corrects by memory of what the runway looks like when you're on it, not when shimmer says you are. Needle sits where he wants it. Stubborn, a blessing that becomes a trap if a gust steals 3 miles per hour at the wrong second. He brings her around with economy that respects a wounded engine. The foam is chalk from careful hands. He imagines the men behind it only enough to read intent. He keeps the turn shallow to keep energy, remembers the book line on belly landings. Nose a shade high, ease her in, spare the prop, keep level. Grass forgives, limestone punishes. Patches wait like teeth. Russo hears the siren's far moan, the island's daily certainty that the sky has its own plan. He looks toward Valletta and sees only bleached stone and a darker sea band. He holds the news on the edge of attention. If a raid is inbound, they won't close the field now. Planes must land or fall. A gearless aircraft outranks everything. He signals tenders, one pacing on the lee side, one holding at the slide's end, engines ticking, men coiled. The radio crackles with an arrival call. Mayhew cuts across with a tone that clears barracks as easily as air. Stand by. Emergency landing. Air over Ta Kali becomes a held breath. The Merlin ahead is a private conversation. The caravan door frames assistants glancing in. They read only the set of his shoulders. He can't see Kerr's pitch cleanly. The undulations hide the inch that decides prop or no prop. Bailout is film romance elsewhere. Over Malta, it's cliffs and chop and currents that pick you rather than rescue you. Kerr is too low for silk to open with grace, and fuel is a wick in its socket. His straps bind him to the logic that belly landing is the only thing between him and water made permanent. He doesn't think the word. It isn't his anymore. He drops into downwind, spacing compressed by urgency. Foam ribbon passes under his left wing. He fixes it in memory. He checks the runway edges, stones piled into edges, and listens for starvation in the engine's tone, a cough that would spin him when he least needs torque. The fuel light flickers, not rhythmic, but arrhythmic, slosh and suction arguing. He must not be here twice. Base, then final, flown with the smallest motions that still do work while wind keeps nudging. The prop is a silver rumor. He is aware of its arc against stone. Blade strike is a hook that yanks the nose and yaws the world. Rudder won't save a mistake past that point. He holds the image of nose a hair high in his mind before muscle memory makes it real, solving a geometry problem with practiced hands and borrowed calm. Wind 1 northwest, 12 to 15. Steady, Mayhew says again, because hearing matters now. Steady is a gift. Gusts are lies that change sums mid-sum. He doesn't say wings level. He leaves space in Kerr's head for what matters. The shape on short final absorbs him. The field inhales with it. Russo lifts the handset at the moment it helps, and not before. Foam is laid on centerline. Crash crews set, clear to proceed. Words fill a cockpit, pushing fear aside because words take space. He waves tenders to open a notch, to let the slow slide end on stone after foam, not on foam that becomes ice under heat. Visors down, valves braced, faces bare and tight. Kerr drops his left hand, unlatches the canopy fully, slides it back until it knocks stop with a metallic tap. Air isn't cool, but it's movement if smoke comes. He cinches harness until it bites, thumbs the buckle, proves release, a habit that buys seconds if the frame folds. He pushes prop control to fine where he wants it and returns to throttle for the last 1,000 yards. Everything narrows to rectangle and line. Crosswind gets into his sleeve and leans. He refuses with small nose, not loud enough for a fight. Speed bleeds to the edge he wants. 80, maybe 85, the sweet edge between flying and not. He draws mixture toward idle cutoff with deliberation, feeling the engine ready to fade to wind and bearing. Magnetos sit under his fingers, a promise one breath from silence. Mayhew could say, "Commit now or don't flare." He says nothing because slogans crowd hands. He keeps the frequency clean. The siren threads thicker through the air, a sound winding around nerves. It is still a thread. He holds the air to one voice. To men on the ground, the Spitfire floats, mass wanting to fall, prop dragging, all contradictions. To Kerr, the runway flowers in detail. Foam shine, tiny stones, the last tire tracks made by luck. He eases throttle closed. The Merlin drops to a hum that will keep the prop, a lazy windmill. His hand shifts over mixture for the last act. Fuel must be cut before sparks find air. The fuel light gives one last bleat and dies, not from mercy, but because air has become froth in the lines. Kerr's breath tastes of salt and hot oil and dust. The sun throws his shadow ahead, long and fast. The wail about bombs braids higher. Men stand their ground because moving ruins other lives. Over RT, Mayhew's voice is a line to hold. One try, Kerr, short strip, foam laid. Take it now or go to sea. Either you take it now or you go to sea. The quartering wind bites from the northwest, steady, insisting on the short strip across it and promising to lift his right wing if hands ease. The runway is a pale scar in heat, craters patched darker, undulations waiting to snatch a belly and twist a fuselage if he arrives skewed. Shimmer washes across it. Centerline is a truth he'll need. The ground crew can only give him a thread to trust. Russo is already moving by the caravan, headset clamped, voice level and fast. Drums slosh, tenders cough forward, a thin white line streams out, guideline and cushion laid only where sparks will be worst. Foam is as precious as petrol. Centerline only, he says into mic for ground and air alike. Mayhew's view is a postcard from a ditch, tail flickering against sun, no angle, no rate. He must choose and has chosen. Russo must make inches survivable. Kerr's thumb slides past the red lamp. It burns back. He pushes the lever again. Dead clunk from an empty circuit, a tremor as selectors open pathways to nowhere. He glances at the wing root, pink sheen where clear fluid turned dusty streak, hydraulic blood, shine. He pulls the hand pump, forearm burns, the needle barely stirs. He is working air. Each stroke is height-traded, red stays red. He thinks of ditching for a thought. Below, rocks drop into chop where wind meets cliff in a grasping reach. The Merlin still ticks over. Fuel light flutters that heartbeat. Jumping here is silk that opens into salt and currents, or worse, adrift into stone. A launch might not find him. Romance drowns. He stays with the machine. Mayhew again, firm without adornment. Long strip will weathercock you. You'll dig a wing. Short, centerline, straight. He hears the downtown moan rise and pretends he did not. Scramble can't close the field. Foam first, then flares. He has learned that orders are weighted chances, and he will take this one. Russo jabs a finger at the grease pencil map of patches. Lift the western pothole markers, he tells the tender. Foam past it, not before. He knows flaring comes early when fear is close. He will steal that temptation. Men spill from the lorry, masks on chests, faces salt white. Hose snakes, nozzle hisses, a milk-white ribbon slides down center. It gleams, vanishes in shimmer, but says, "Aim here." Kerr cracks the latch and slides the canopy. He'll want it off if the nose digs. He reef knots the harness into his shoulders until breath shortens. Prop to fine, blades shallow to cut kick when attitude changes. Radiator lever check. Those fairings will be his skids if he arrives straight, enemies if he doesn't. He rehearses sequence. Fuel off, hold it. Mixture cut, mags a contact. Kill heat at the last fraction. Too early is a short and a roll. Too late is flame. Prop song changes with fine pitch, a rising whir, the disc nearly a ghost. No flaps. Hydraulics stole them, so stall speed is higher, 80 to 85 indicated. Anything over is heat under the belly and run long into repairs. Anything under is a drop and a wingtip dig. The margin's a blade you skate. A gust clips the right wing. The spit stiffens. Left boot meets it with a tickle of rudder. He holds a side slip he can rinse away with a long squeeze before contact, crabbed enough to let the belly ignore invisible wheels. Heat boiling makes the far end lie. The foam shivers and snakes. He trusts the men on the ground, put it where it counts, and trims nose-up clicks to ease stick load, shaving the angle to spare the prop. Crash 1, you're aligned. Hold left of the third patch. Russo, 3 flares only. Mayhew snaps. Foam saved, light saved. Everything saved because ships bring too slow, and bombs take too fast. The siren finds its middle note and holds. Hurricanes near the revetments squat and wait. Crews look up and then away. He will not move them now and make obstacles. Russo keys the mic. Spitfire, foam 2/3. White ends before ground does. Nose light, wings level. Mags off at contact. He swallows the urge to wish luck. Directions beat luck. He cuts a driver off who wants to flood the line. Too much will blind the path. Foam clings to hot metal if it meets it. If it doesn't, sparks take. Kerr stabs eyes down. The foam is a whisper on stone, and the wind frays its edge toward the western verge. Drift right, and the radiator will catch first. Drift left, and a wingtip kisses stones. He lines on the caravan. It's the fixed point Mayhew owns. He tells himself the caravan sits on the same line as the foam. He trusts the man. He tucks his elbow in so he won't over-control in the last 10 feet. An engine tremor. The light flutters. Slosh pulls away from the pickup. Then it feeds again. A cough now would add torque he didn't ask for, and yaw when yaw kills. He could smooth it with throttle, but that feeds fire on arrival. He slides throttle to a hum and holds mixture live for a heartbeat longer because a breathing engine gives a ghost of rudder wash at the end. A dead one is only weight. The argument has two good sides. He chooses in seconds he can't spare. Chin left of gun sight, he looks down the cowl. Mirror shakes. Canopy rim rattles. Sweat beads snatched by the slipstream. He holds the crab, will straighten before scrape, not with roll, but with rudder and a thread of into-wind aileron. If anything must take first kiss, let it be the left radiator, not the prop. The voice from Sussex returns. Do not flare, hold the picture, and let gravity work. Ground comes up not a carpet, but a jaw, near end stepping. He glances left, the wing root still weeps pink in salt dust. There is no pressure and no miracle. The VC's heavier wing and cannon blister handle a whisper different from the twos. He changes nothing because differences aren't what he needs now. You're a shade high. Don't float, Mayhew calls. He measures by sheen on metal and distance between blur and earth, sightlines that lie. He can't see the disk or the lamp. He can only guard silence. The siren holds. Russo rolls a hand at the tender. Pace. Don't rush. If the spit slides, be alongside, not in front. Pour white when sparks try to make meaning. A mechanic glances sky, then hose. Foam will finish before the aircraft arrives. Barely, if Kerr doesn't aim long. Kerr slows his own breath. The lance holds steady. Into wind aileron, notched in. Rudder takes out crab, smooth as a single exhale. Their commitment feels like a catch in his spine. The last window for more sky slams shut. His hand hovers at mixture and stops an inch early because earth is close, but not certain. Stones glow, foam, white glints. The disk is a whisper. He tastes metal. He remembers chalk lines for gun harmonization last week, bullets set to meet at 200 yards. Trajectories and gravity, the mind games of aim, fall away. He holds the angle that keeps a blade from kissing limestone. Now, Allen, Mayhew says, not a command, a cadence. Throttle slides closed until it's a thought. The Merlin's breath thins. Mixture comes back, clean and firm. The sound changes from life to wind. There's a heartbeat of windmill. Foam rushes. Darker patch ahead. Crater repair. He can't pitch now without undoing everything. He keeps the wings true. Kerr flips the magneto switches, left, right, by thumb memory, in case fuel found spark. The cockpit becomes air and momentum. Nose a fraction above level, radiators ready to take the scrape. He fixes eyes on the far strip end to stop hands from saving what can't be saved here. The airframe settles, and the white brightens. Russo's hand hovers over a shoulder at the hose valve. He waits for the first bright fleck that means metal is making its own weather. The tender paces, engine singing as speed matches slide. Beside him, a mechanic crosses himself without embarrassment. 3 stake flares wink orange in the late light, markers for the men who will run to where that glow goes out. Kerr's stomach tightens and empties. Evolution's reminder. Weight finds his hands, elevator lively, and then dull, rudder alive, and then heavy as slipstream dies. The right wing tugs into wind. He answers with precise aileron to keep canopy level with a horizon he cannot trust. The radiators are seconds from scrape. The foam is there, bright. Crosswind still pushes. Drift still threatens. A single thought of cliffs and spray dies. He squeezes a breath of stick, not a flare, a promise that the prop won't meet stone first. He braces heels on rudder bar for whatever comes when lift ends. The sky drains out of the windscreen, replaced by ground filling it like a wall. The belly finds limestone with a grating sigh that turns to a scream. Sparks fan pale against foam. The radiator fairings take bite together, twin sibilants under his shoulders. He pins the wings flat with aileron and a whisper of rudder into wind, fighting that right wing's urge to rise. If it lifts, the left scoop gouges and yaws him into a spin he cannot fix. The first jolt wants to pitch his hand forward, his forearms lock, harness bites. The canopy, slid back, breathes heat and dust. He keeps the stick alive like a safecracker's dial, not chasing every twitch as a patched crater bumps the belly and drops it. The prop disc blurs inches above stone, tips threatening kiss, their kiss a hook. He refuses the hook. The engine coughs once at idle and dies to silence as the mixture goes to cut. His thumb flicks the magnetos cold. Sparking sources vanish as metal roars. On foam, sparks are bright and then dull. Where foam ends, bright again. He gambled that fuel cutoff and dead mags would make sparks toothless. It was a plain trick, and it works if done in time. The roar becomes a chew, granular, tooth to grit. Foam gives way to bare stone mid-slide because barrels were counted, not imagined. Friction bites harder. The right radiator fairing grabs a fraction more than the left. The tug starts that wants to twist him. He answers with left stick, decisive and small, almost reflex, holding the wing from lifting enough to let drag pull him around. Below the white's end, patchwork repairs scab the limestone. Each seam telegraphs into the cockpit. The spit slides true for yards and then scribbles, right wing wanting freedom. The caravan flashes past, Mayhew a profile in a window, and the crash tender paces the dust cloud, a shadow with hose raised. At the last, the wind's pressure eases with speed, and the fin loses bite. Steering becomes friction more than flight. He shapes the skid with weight, feet firm, attention just ahead, and chases the wet stripe again by feel. The urge to relax rises. He crushes it until movement stops. He lurches to a halt. Dust rolls forward and drops. Silence rings where Merlin once sang. He holds still. Tick-tick from hot metal is all he hears. No crackle. He waits a breath longer to be sure. A fireman fills the edge of his view, visor up, hose tilted, white ready to wash heat into harmlessness. The man's face is salt-streaked, jaw set hard, superstition surrendering to relief. The tender paces in close and stops angled off the nose. The crew chief's hand hovers high. Hold, then circles, go, ready to flood the belly if any burp of heat glows. Mayhew stays seated, hands pressed into armrests like he could have kept the aircraft straight through wood and will. Denying the long runway, paid. He hadn't seen the disk. He had seen dust and a silhouette that stayed flat. He watches the arc of the tender and calculates backward. He chose right, and the strip is still theirs if they clear it now. Rousseau's voice, steady all through, cracks on the last syllable as he orders foam forward anyway, belt and braces. He has coordinated tender, flares, hand extinguishers on the assumption that if something can ignite, It will. He knows timing beat volume today. The foam lay where first heat blooms. They didn't waste it on satisfaction. Kerr moves slowly. You don't make your own ignition with panicked hands. Fuel off, mags dead, prop at rest. He reaches not for the canopy, it's already back, but for the harness latch, aware of a fragile balance in a machine that just made a bargain. He breathes, counting his heartbeats into calm. He releases, twists, and the harness palms him an ache across the shoulders, proof that it did its job. He plants boot on seat, then root, careful on dust that makes the wing treacherous. He stands into light that makes the scene look clean despite grit. He smells hot metal and limestone. He doesn't smell fuel. A gloved hand appears. He takes it. Formal as a platform courtesy in a place that forgets to cheer. He steps down, legs a shade looser than his voice, and finds stone forgiving beneath boots. Around him, choreography. Tender arcs past the tail. A second nudges foam into hot points under the scoops. A tractor coughs at idle waiting to tow clear if the siren's note means move now. Fitters jog up with eyes already measuring damage. Hydraulic line, belly plates, radiator mounts, hands itching to make a flying thing again out of this scrape survivor. There's no cheer. Malta doesn't waste noise in daylight. There's a shared breath and knees unwinding. Mayhew sets the mic down and stands in the caravan door, looking straight at the machine, his choice kept true. He writes the sight into a mental ledger he will thumb later when another choice steals sleep. The saving lay in plain axe, done cleanly. Fuel cut before steel met rock. Magneto's dead at the kiss, so sparks had nowhere to go. Foam laid where heat was born, not painted for comfort. Crosswind taken on a shorter strip because heading mattered more than yardage when gear was a fiction. Those were irreversible, and they held. Kerr turns and counts details because pilots teach their hands after a fight. Wings level, nose a shade high, prop whole. He touches the canopy frame, thanks it for sliding when he needed it. He had unlatched it earlier to make sure he could get out upside down if the nose dug. The motion's logic hums under his palm. The siren's wail still threads the cliffs. The island keeps pulling aircraft down and throwing them up in the same hour. Here, for this minute, a Spitfire sits on its belly with its prop intact, and a pilot stands beside it, dust on his teeth, the last second still writing itself in his pulse. Next decision, tow clear fast or wave off the ones already low on fuel. A mechanic slides under the wing, emerges with soot on his cheek, thumbs up to the chief, radiator scraped, not burst. Salvage overpire. The chief nods once. The nod will ripple through spares lists. They'll buy this airplane time. Kerr laughs once, a tight bark that lets truth out, fear, luck, and inches of prop that stayed unkissed. He can see water glittering at the field's end and imagines the raft he didn't meet. He looks for Mayhew and finds him by motion in the caravan door, a hand raised, a salute that is also an order. Clear the runway. Russo's voice comes tinny again in Kerr's next set, one word for ground, but he takes it too. Clear. Men move. Tractor clunks forward. Tow bar clatters metal on metal. Decisions keep stacking. A fireman taps the belly with his boot, then hand signals the driver to back the tender 3 yards, hose easing from attack to guard. Dust drops in fat motes, gold for a second, then gone. Colors come back, olive, khaki, limestone white. Someone mutters a joke that doesn't carry. Someone swears about belly plates and forms. 2 boys with hand carts wait for chalk and cable orders. Life presses in. Kerr plants his hand flat on the canopy frame, warm, chalk-dusted, and steps back as boots drum closer and a tow line snakes out across the stone. Dust settles around a silent Spitfire, its wings dead level in the golden haze, as engines cough and a tractor edges in to haul it off the line.